Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajua. It's another one of my similar but better series where I compare two or more fragrances that are supposed to smell identical and let you know which of them in my opinion is a better alternative. In this particular video I have 8 fragrances. I don't want to keep the video too long, so I have 8 fragrances, and the first pair I would say I have not smelled the original one. I have not, Batiami from Bulgaria is a fragrance, a very popular one, but I've never smelled the original. However, I have Gharam from Lattafa. I've had it for a while, and it's a very beautiful floral vanilla scent, gardenia, pineapple, tangerine. It has other notes that is missing from the original Bulgari Basiami. The note structure differs, but this, according to people who have smelled the original one, they smell quite identical. In current times, I picked one from Khadlaj known as Nafias Sharq, and this fragrance did not in any way remind me of Gharam upon initial spray. I couldn't even put that connection together. It didn't smell identical to me at all until I posted a video, and then someone made that comment that this is supposed to be a dupe of Basiami. So if I could compare Gharam with this, and I was like, okay, let me just try and put them together. Being told that it's supposed to be a dupe of Basiami with this one, a fragrance Gharam in mind, I can now see the similarity somehow. However, I still feel these two fragrances are quite different. This didn't immediately remind me of Gharam in any way. It sort of reminded me of that brush accord from brush vanille from Lattafa. It gives me a very similar feel with that bitter undertone bread accord. It gives me that. However, upon being told that it's supposed to be another inspiration of Basiami and comparing this to, I would say they're about 60% identical. These two are not the same. They are not the same at all. This from Khadlaj gives me more of a floral, woody, bitter undertone, nuance. Whereas when it comes to Gharam, it's all about the lightweight vanilla and the florals. If there's anything that differentiates these two strongly, it's going to be the note of vanilla. In as much as vanilla is incorporated in the note structure for Nafias, I barely get any heavy vanilla. Whereas in Gharam, I get the vanilla, a very lightweight, with the pineapple tangerine. I get a fruity, notes in this one. But this is also supposed to have the notes of apricot, tree. I don't get anything fruity per se. It's all about the florals, and the woods and a bit of a musky nuance to it. I don't get any fruity per se, any fruity accord or note, per se. It's very woody, a lot more complex in a way than Gharam. Gharam feels a lot more lighter. This one gives me more of the vanilla. I get the vanilla a lot more, whereas in this one I don't get a vanilla at all. If there's another significant difference is the longevity. This is just a very poor performer. The longevity is like within an hour it is gone. You're not smelling anything at all. Whereas in Gharam, it's going to last you around 3 hours on skin and around 8-10 hours plus, on clothes. You can always reapply. But the longevity for Nafias Sharq is so abysmal. It's not super strong. Initial spray is strong. Initial spray, the first 5-10 minutes is strong, but it's quickly, subsides and you're getting something like a skin scent within an hour. Whereas this one gives you the longevity. So these are the main difference I find between them. I feel like Gharam feels a lot more sweeter. There's a bit of a sweetness to Gharam with the pineapple tangerine. It is not a pineapple heavy scent. I don't necessarily consider it a pineapple scent, but gives me something a little more fruity, and I think the fruit makes this one a little more sweeter. Whereas in this one, it's supposed to be the apricot tree blossom, but it's more woody, a lot more floral. It's got a note of gardenia, but I don't think I'm getting gardenia per se in this. Whereas this one does not have the note of gardenia, but I get a bit of a gardenia white floral, nuance in Gharam. So to me, although I have not smelled the original one, and rumor has it that Gharam is a great interpretation of Basiami, I think I would like to go with the fact that this is a more closer version to Basiami. Whereas I would say this is like about 60%, similar to Gharam. This is more floral, much more musky, much more woody, a little bit of a bitter undertone to it. That brush, bread, I get something like a brush or bread accord that I get in this one from Lattafa. So those are the main significant differences I find between these two. Which of them do I like better? I think I enjoy the complexity of Nafias. I enjoy the complexity. It feels a little more complex with the woods, the woods and the less sweetness. Whereas Garam feels a lot more mass appealing. There's something a lot more mass appealing about Garam, and this one feels a lot more complex and this is not very versatile, I would say, but Garam feels a little more versatile in my opinion. But I love them both. When I sprayed this without knowing what it was supposed to be inspired by, I still enjoy it. I still love it. I was like, I really enjoy this fragrance, and so do I. Love Garam. Of the two, I wouldn't be able to pick which of them is my favorite, but I think if you're looking for a better alternative to Basiami, you might want to go this way since this has been reported to be a good one, although I've not had my nose on the original one. So these are the two fragrances that I wanted to compare, for the start. The second pair of fragrances are going to be from Fragrance World, Eau de Soleil, and from Lattafa, Atheeri. If you remember my review of Atheeri, you would realize I didn't give it I didn't rave about it. I didn't give it such a positive review. At the time I got this one, it felt very nauseating. I think I'll feature it in my life after maceration. I would like to say before I even do the comparison that I get less of that nauseating vanilla, feel. It's improved. I enjoy it a lot better than when I initially got that nauseating vanilla honeydew, melon thing has subsided, and I think I enjoy it a little more now than initially. However, with this one, Eau de Soleil, it was just a beautiful scent at the first, sniff. I enjoy this one. First of all, let me just say longevity. Let me just go with the longevity first because longevity for Eau de Soleil is like very poor, very abysmal. As soon as you spray it on, within an hour, I can barely smell anything unless I over spray and even reapply, frequently. In this case, Atheeri lasts longer than Eau de Soleil. That is just something I wanted to clear before we start the comparison. So comparison wise, I'll go with Atheeri. So these two fragrances are supposed to be inspired by Gucci Gorgeous Floral Orchid. I think that is the name of the fragrance. I had to go into the store to test those that fragrance to be able to compare these two. And when I did, of the two, I think the closest to me, the closest in terms of scent is going to be Eau de Soleil from Fragrance World. This and even the original one, Gorgeous, Orchid from Gucci, they have that ozonic nuance attached to them. I can get the ozonic nuance, and I can in the original one as well as Atheeri. That is missing from this one, and that is what makes me enjoy this one a lot more because I didn't enjoy that ozonic honeydew, aspect of Atheeri. That was one of my biggest letdowns. Now that it's gone through maceration, I think it's better. It's subside. It's gone down. It doesn't make me as nauseous as it used to. But this is so pretty. It's more identical to me. It's like 95% identical to the original one. Where I think this one is about, let's say, 90%. There is something about this that does not give me 100% of Gucci Gorgeous, Orchid. This one gives me a more accurate interpretation. Although those three fragrances do not have the note of banana, I think we've sort of been conditioned to receive them as banana forward fragrances. So somehow I sort of, perceive a bit of a banana nuance, although the note of banana is missing in Atheeri and the original one. But in the case of Soleil, we have the banana as a note. But I don't smell like a heavy, super realistic banana scent. It is not. I think I even get the vanilla and the pear a lot more. I get the vanilla and the pear a lot more with a bit of a watery, airy vibe, but not necessarily ozonic or aquatic. But there's a freshness to it. And so is this one, Atheeri. But Atheeri feels a lot more ozonic, there's something ozonic and aquatic about it, and that it's one thing I'm not a huge fan of. In the case of this, it has the banana note, but it's not the main or the dominant note. I still get the lightweight vanilla, the lightweight pear, a very light touch of the banana. And I feel like because we've been conditioned to receive these fragrances, I sort of get that same banana-esque, feel in Atheeri as well as the original one. But if you ask me of the three, the one that I get that banana, the most, even though in smaller dose, I think it is going to be this one. I get a hint of that banana, in this one, unlike the original one in Atheeri, where I feel it's just a touch, just a little less than what I perceive in this. I think scent wise, I enjoy this one a lot more. This one feels a lot more airy, a lot more lighter, although the longevity is very poor. But I think I enjoy this one a lot more. From the initial spray, I had no issues at all. I had no issue. There was nothing nauseating or off-putting about Eau de Soleil. Whereas in this one, even though it's gone through aging, I still feel it is not necessarily mine for me, it is not necessarily for me. Now I can say these two smell quite identical, but I still get that ozonic sort of feel in this one, where in this I don't at all. The in Soleil I don't. So if I'm supposed to choose between these two, of course I'm going to go for Soleil because I didn't have anything like any negative connotation. I don't have anything negative to say about it except the longevity. Even the original one and Atheeri are not the most beast mode, super long lasting. They are not. They just airy, vanilla, a hint of pearish, aquatic vibe. That is what they all essentially are. So that is going to be my take on these two. I would go for this, Yeah, that is why I decided to go for this full bottle over a full bottle of Atheeri. And that is my take on these two, Atheeri and then Eau de Soleil from Fragrance World. From Haramain, we have Junoon Noir, and from Paris Corner, I'm going to compare one of their latest fragrances, Fayora. These two fragrances are supposed to be inspired by Dama Bianca from Zenjov, and if what we say on the internet is anything to go by, this is supposed to be a very good, accurate dupe of Dama Bianca. Do I get the same thing from Fayora? Not necessarily. I don't think I'm getting 100% Junoon Noir feel from Fayora at all. It's reminiscent of it, especially at the deepest dry down. I think the most significant difference I find between these two is a note of kumquat. In my opinion, kumquat is what makes this fragrance what it is. It feels a little different from the other citruses. It has a bit of a piney, lemony, citrusy feel to it. And I get that sort of touch when it comes to Fayora. But this is heavy on the passion fruit. Fayora feels like a lot more heavy on the passion fruit because passion fruit is a note in it, whereas in the original Dama Bianca and Junoon Noir, there's no passion fruit. So between these two, Ferrari feels a lot more fruity, whereas this one, I get that note of kumquat, but there's something about the dry down of Fayora that reminds me of that kumquat, piney, citrusy lemon feel of Dama Bianca or this one or Junoon Noir. If you're familiar with Junoon Noir, it's going to sort of remind you of that, but not necessarily the entire composition of Junoon Noir. It's just going to remind you of that powdery, slight bit of kumquat feel at a dry down. But at the beginning, it feels a lot more tart. This one feels a lot more tart, a lot more fruity with the passion fruit. The passion fruit makes this one a lot more tart and more fruity, whereas this one feels a lot more powdery and a lot more vanillic. This is vanilla heavy, but in the case of Fayora, it is not. I don't get a heavy vanilla scent at all. It is not as powdery. It is not as lemony pine. It is more on the tart, bright passion fruit side, and it makes this one feel a lot more watered down. These two, between the two, I would say Junoon Noir feels a lot more matured. There's something a lot more matured smelling about Junoon Noir, whereas in Fayora, it feels a lot more younger, a lot more fun. This one feels a lot more fun, but I don't consider Junoon Noir a fun fragrance at all. It is more of a sultry, come hither vibe, whereas in Fayora, it is more of a fun, lightweight, girly, girl next door sort of, vibe. That is what Fayora gives me. It's more, I wouldn't say juvenile, but it's much more younger in my opinion, where this one feels a lot more richer, a lot more sophisticated, a lot more polished, a lot more matured wearing, and this is just young, just young and a bit more fun. I would say if you enjoy Junoon Noir, you are most likely going to enjoy Fayora. You are most likely going to enjoy this. I've not met anyone yet who dislikes Junoon Noir, but there's something about these two that, especially Fayora, that is going to remind you of this. It is not 100% the same to me. Very watered down with the passion fruit, less of the powderiness, less of the vanilla, less of everything that Junoon Noir has. That makes it Junoon Noir. Personally, I would still choose Junoon Noir, over this one, although I still enjoy this one, but I feel like it's much more intense, much more matured smelling, much more, of an where this one feels a lot more watered down with the passion fruit and a lot more playful. This one is playful, but I don't find anything playful at all about this. And I like how this one interprets a lot more. And the last pair are going to be Maleka from Armaf Club de Nuit Maleka. I'm going to compare it to Hayaati Florence by Lattafa or Fragrance World. I think it's by Fragrance World. I think in the past I've already compared Maleka to Angel Nova, Maya, and the other dupes of Angel Nova, But upon further testing and getting this fragrance, I can confidently say that this is like very replaceable. Maleka is very replaceable with this. It's the exact same thing, although this one is supposed to be lychee and bergamot and orange, and this one has candied fruit and nothing in common when it comes to the nose structure. They smell 100% the same. When you spray it initially, they are both, tart and fresh and aquatic and lightweight. They have the same characteristics, but scent wise, it is the same thing. If you have Hayaati Florence, you have Maleka. If you have Hayaati Florence, you have Maleka. There is no point in buying these two fragrances, because basically, if I thought it is very generic and close to Maya from Lattafa or the Angel Nova, this is the total replacement for Maleka. It smells like 99.999 identical. The dry down is the same. The beginning is maybe a slight touch of differences between the two in the beginning, but the middle dry down is the same thing. It feels like they just poured Florence, Hayaati Florence into Maleka. That is how it feels. Very negligible difference. You can barely even tell the differences between these two fragrances. It is the same thing. Maleka and Hayaati Florence, to me, to my nose, are the same thing. Longevity wise, performance wise, they are lightweight, light wearing, mass appealing, girly fun, a bit of a fruity, not a bit, like mostly a tart, fruity, vanilla, fragrance. I think the only thing I would say is the fact that this one has a bit of a powderiness to it, because of the notes of orange. It's a touch of powderiness to it, whereas it is not the same thing. But very negligible. If you have Hayaati Florence, trust me, you don't need Maleka. You don't. Like any other thing I have compared to Maleka doesn't come close to what Hayaati Florence is to Maleka. And that is, a very, I was surprised by that. I was surprised, but I was also not surprised at all. It is the same thing rebutted as Maleka, basically. And that to me is a wrap for today. And I hope this video found you well. Let me know in the comment section what you think about these comparison, if you have any of them and you have made the comparison yourself. So yeah, and I hope this video found you well. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I hope to see my next one. Take care. Bye bye.